welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We appreciate you being here this morning and every Monday through Friday between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Joining us here where sports meets life inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. And Heritage Hill, of course, you could find them by going out to the brew house, Heritage Hill Brew House out in Pompey on Sweet Road in the wonderful country landscape. Looks like God painted a picture out there. You can go out and see them there. You can also go and see Heritage Hill at Heritage Hill North on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York. And that is, of course, where you'll find Wake Up Call every single month on site, on location. So make sure you head out to Heritage Hill and to their many locations and continue to support local. We appreciate Dan Palladino and the entire team at Heritage Hill for all that they do and are proud to have them as our exclusive studio partner. With that being said, here this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, we are coming to you in many avenues, youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, all around the world. And today, our guests, very excited here in hour number one, we're going to be welcoming inside of ModPawsPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. We have Mr. Brian Bruno going to be joining us, CBA Syracuse Defensive Coordinator, coming off of the 2021 and 2023 New York State titles, 2 titles in the last 3 years for CBA Syracuse Football, and we'll be discussing that with him and so much more here in just a moment. And in hour number 2, as you always know, on a Thursday, we have Papa Joe joining us here. We'll be speaking on the happenings inside of Major League Baseball, Belmont Stakes at Saratoga, and the Jacksonville Jaguars news that is latest to what's going on right now. So with that being said, it is my absolute honor and privilege to welcome back to the broadcast Mr. Brian Bruno, picture-in-picture. Coach, how we doing?
Fantastic. How are you?
Doing very well. So
Good.
I know that, and I just want to get the elephant out of the room here. I know that my phone auto-corrected Casey Brown to being your brother or child. So can we just discuss that? I mean, would you like to see a Casey Bruno?
We had a good chuckle about it, I'll tell you that. My phone was blowing up that day.
Yeah.
So,
He's
my brother in a lot of ways, but I don't know if we want to share names.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember he sent me a message, and it was like a screenshot, and I was like, of course, with all the work that I did, it auto-corrected. But, I mean, or whatever it did, or maybe I just wrote it as I was doing everything at once. But like you said, that brotherhood, that connection, what's it like spending so much time with Mr. Casey Brown?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, when I started working with him, gosh, about 9 years ago, I really didn't know what to expect. And sometimes you like, who you work next to. And, sometimes it's more professional than it is a friendship. But this is truly a brotherhood with him. And I'd also add Bruce too, and other guys in the staff. But the three of us spend so much time together, and we truly enjoy, each other's company. We all kind of share different perspectives on things, and needless to say, I think it morphs into whatever strategy we put in place. And I really value his friendship and his opinion always.
Yeah, and like you said, Bruce Williams and Casey Brown and the entire staff. It's one thing to say it's a family. It's one thing to pretend like, oh yeah, we're good, we're close, we got this and that. But when you're around all of this staff and you actually get to see, you guys together interacting with each other like at the ring ceremony, there's something to be said about the fact that these aren't just words. This isn't just political talk. There's that family feel, that connection. Guys are joking around with each other. There's something here at CBA that feels warm. It feels kind. It feels connected. What can you say about not just calling it a family, but actually having a group of people that are common goal working together to not only see student athletes do what they need to do in the classroom, but to also have success on the field and at the same time to have some fun?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think one thing I've learned, and this is no secret, but you can't fake genuine.
Yeah.
And, it starts with, the president of school, Matt Keogh, all the way down. But, the goal that we have isn't necessarily to win. Winning's nice, but really it's about development. And development comes in so many different fashions. I mean, you talked about educationally, but it's also mentally, and physicals, part of it that you see every Friday night when we play. But, for us, I think we all share in the concept that, part of our responsibility as coaches is to change maybe the way some people coach and introduce these kids to what the definition of masculinity is. And it's not just being, this macho guy that walks down the hallways and looks intimidating and, picks on women. It's really being built for another person. And I can tell you, top down through the whole staff, we're constantly telling the kids we love them, and our job is to help them show how to love each other, and we hug and tell each other we love you, and I don't think you see that in a lot of places. So the hope is that transcends into other parts of their lives, and they learn how to be better people to strangers and other people they can help. So
and like you said, and I know this too. Growing up, even now, some men struggle with the stereotype of you can't tell another man that you love him. You can't have that connection, or if you have that connection, you can't state that. And I'm not that way at all. And Casey could tell you that. Whenever I see him, I tell him I love him. He tells me he loves me. We have a really close friendship and a bond and a brotherhood, in my opinion, as well. What can you say to that piece of it? That men being able to, like you said, this macho approach of this stereotype and all the negatives that go with it. But being a man is not disrespecting another man. It's not disrespecting a woman. It's not being a macho guy. It's not going out there flexing your muscles. That being a man is actually having the confidence and the comfort of saying I love you and sticking by those words, and just what that looks like to you. Because I always think the definition of a man is how you treat somebody. And when you can say I love you, I think it says a lot about you. And I never adhered to the invisible rule of a man can't tell another man, like, hey, I love you. I really do appreciate you in my life.
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, look, when you're dealing with team sports, especially, it's really important that you have a bond with the people that you're trying to compete with. And when that bond extends past the field, and there's a true love for somebody, we like to say you're built for others, right? So, similar to what you were describing, and when you're built to help someone else through their tough times, it makes you stronger as a person individually, but also the team, the fabric of the team becomes more than just winning and losing. And it's hard to lose when you're that tight, but it starts from the top down. And like I said, I mean, it's all the way from our president to Coach Brown. But there's a community there that, we're trying to support that thought that, what can we do for the person next to us when they're hurting? What can we do for someone else in the school that maybe is getting picked on? And that breaks more important than just myself. And that spirituality and the religion of that, I truly think it makes you better fathers, better sons, better husbands someday. And to me, that's why we're here. It truly is the mission. And it's, like I said earlier, it's one thing to get the ring. The ring's nice, but it is so rewarding when you see a young man that comes to us and maybe has, some raw skill, but really the development of them and seeing them get into a better college than they would, seeing them develop as a whole round person is really rewarding. And that's why I'm here. I'm involved in a lot of things, but there's nothing I cherish more than coaching the CBA.
Like you said, Brian, you're involved in a lot of different things, but there's nothing that you cherish more than this. Why? Why is this the thing that is at the top of the heap for you?
Yeah, I mean, I that's a good question. I spend a lot of time thinking about that, and I think one of the things that happens as you get older, you start thinking about legacy,
Yeah.
and how you want to leave, and leave your last name, upon the people that you love and in your community. And for me, I've been very fortunate to be successful, and now it feels really good to give back, and I want to try to give back to as many young men as I can. And CBA gave me a great opportunity to kind of propel me to the position I'm in now. And I take that leadership role pretty seriously. But in the summertime, we try to help a lot of our players get jobs, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to employ several of them and help show them different parts of business. And in a lot of ways, I think that helps them pick their career path in college. So just from start to bottom, I think leaving the world a better place than you came into it is special, and for me, it makes me feel great. It's like it's a trophy in a different way.
Yeah, well, and it's that trophy that continues to give back every year, continues to win, right? I mean, it's one thing. Like I have trophies that are sitting in here. When I was 14 years old, we won a championship for basketball, and I got MVP, and that happened one time. But
Yeah.
the things that my mom taught me, the things that my dad taught me, the things that my grandparents taught me, those are things that I can use every single day. I can think about my grandmother's advice every day to anything, and it connects. So, I mean, I can wake up in the morning and think about two or three things that my grandmother always told me, and that can really help me stay positive. It can help me stay focused, and really help me just see the good in tough situations and to continue to love myself. She said very simple things, but they had such an impact, and they're very clear of what she meant by those things. Who has been your mentor or mentors that when you say like, hey, I the older I get, I think about my legacy. I think about how I've helped people, what I could do to help people. I want to make sure that, that you're leaving the world a better place. Who were the ones that helped bring you along? Because we're talking about what you're doing and bringing others along, but somebody had to help you. Who were those people?
I mean, to start, probably like a lot of people, my parents definitely instilled a lot of the values that I hold dear now. But I spend a lot of time studying other leaders, if you will, and looking at some of their successes and trying to draw some comparisons to maybe what we do now in football at CBA and the program itself from their life experiences, right? So I've spent a lot of time talking to guys like Chuck Pagano. I was fortunate enough to know Chuck as a friend, and I think he's one of the best leaders of men that I've ever met. And just talking to him and the way he speaks to people and the clear communication he gives is something that I would aspire to be both, in my professional life and at CBA. And then just other people I've met in the community. I continue to meet people that inspire me all the time. And I think, I'm one of these people I think that believes in everybody has a certain amount of talents. And it doesn't matter if you have 50 talents or one talent. If you can get something out of that person with one talent and they brought all their talents to the table that day, they're just as valuable as the person that had 50 talents, provided they brought all their talents too. So when you can copy those talents from other people and learn to appreciate who they are, even if they're more or less talented, that's kind of how I try to grow.
Here with Brian Bruno this morning, CBA Syracuse Defensive Coordinator on staff for the 2021 and 2023 New York State titles. You spoke about Chuck Pagano, and you could see that Colts helmet behind you. I'm gonna forgive you for that because hold on, let me.
I think that's actually a Hurricanes helmet.
Oh, is that a Canes helmet?
That's a Canes helmet from when he was at Miami. That's
Oh,
right.
I do see
Yeah,
it. See, I saw the U, and it looks because it's farther away. But
that's right.
but you did talk about Chuck Pagano, and I just want to make sure that the world knows where it's actually at here today. So we gotta make sure we deal with it. But Chuck Pagano, for you, what are some of those like stamps that Chuck has put on your life? Some of those things that you can go back to, that you can reflect on. I know you just talked about him a little bit here, and just spoke about what you can do to draw out the talents of someone if they have 50 or if they have one. But in the case of Chuck Pagano, to go a little bit deeper into that, what can you say about your relationship and what type of mark he's made for you?
Yeah, so to start, I was fortunate to meet Chuck through one of our other coaches, Jim Joffrey, and Jim's son Frankie was my best friend growing up. Was really close with the Pagano. So But when I had an opportunity to meet Chuck, Chuck's a polarizing figure. He's an amazing motivator. He's great speaking to people because of how that clear communication that he gives. But what really always stuck with me, and I'll never forget this, but seeing him around his family. And when you see somebody in a football light, you kind of put him on a pedestal of this, amazing, human that's like a statue, right? Like he's bigger than life. And then you see them in their regular lives, how they're great to their daughters and to their wives, and it really sinks in that these people are human and they have other families. I was just up at Boston College a few weeks ago, and I had the opportunity to talk to Bill O'Brien and even Coach Marone. I spent a couple hours with Coach Marone, and all these great leaders have similarities, and they're good at their families. They put their families first, but they try to, in my opinion, they try to really take what they believe in and instill it into their players. And I think the players see that and want to play hard for them. I think that clear honesty is what kids certainly need. You have to know where you stand sometimes.
Yeah.
But they also want to know that they're working hard for someone that is gonna help them and be honest with them.
Yeah. And like you said, that clear honesty. The world of, and I think Brian, this, and I've known this and seen this too, is we're living in a society right now where you can't offend anybody, and at the same time, everybody's offended. You
Right.
got a kid glove certain people. People can't be told they're doing anything wrong. Gray is the area. There is no black and white to some people. And how do you navigate that? As the world has tried to destroy right and wrong and make it more of an opinion, you're at a school that has morals and values and beliefs and puts God first, and there are clear right and wrong things. There are clear things that you shouldn't steal ever. There's certain things
Yeah.
that are there with CBA being what it's supposed to be and what it stands for, and being in a world where the youth is kind of being told through social media and different avenues and through the media itself, hey, there's no right and wrong. It's whatever you think. It's whatever you feel for the day. How do you teach through all of that?
I think the mistake that you make is when you start trying to guard yourself against it. If you have good intentions and you're pure, and you're truly there for the right reasons, I don't think you can be worried about what others feel. You said earlier, like it's never the wrong time to do the right thing. That's what we believe. I mean, it is what it is, and we're not afraid to say it. We often get times where parents expect their kids to be, something that they're just not capable of. It doesn't mean their kid is failing. So I think speaking that pure truth to them is the way to navigate through it. And if you start trying to please all these different groups, then you get stuck making empty promises that you can't make, and you also come across as fake. And that's the last thing that I think any of us want to do at CBA is be misleading or come across as fake. I think the world needs straight truths, and that's the only way me personally, I'd rather be told a hard truth than a soft lie, and that's how I try to talk to parents or other kids.
I love that. I'm gonna have to take that. Hard truth
You
rather
could have
than a
that later.
soft lie. I like that.
That's it.
I like that very much. Brian Bruno here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Brian, what's your favorite part of the job when it comes to, you spoke on the relationship with the staff and spending a lot of time with Casey Brown and Bruce Williams. You three in a room, what's your favorite part of being with Bruce and Casey, and what that dynamic is like? If we could all be a fly on the wall, paint the picture for us.
Yeah, so I'm going to venture a guess that we're probably a lot different than most staffs. We talk about things that aren't necessarily X's and O's.
Yeah.
We probably spend 95% of our time talking about each kid and how we can personally get them better. Sometimes it's pushing them differently. Sometimes it's putting our arm around them, but it's all about development. We spend in-depth discussions on which camps we think each kid should pursue and which colleges we think are good fits for them, both academically and athletically. Um, there's not a day that goes by that three of us don't talk, and I truly mean that. Even on Christmas Day, we'll have an hour phone call probably, because we're just also passionate about helping these kids. And I think the hardest part and the best part of what we do is, I'll use Syer as an example. I'm so proud of Syer, not because of his Division I offers, but because he got an honor roll in his senior year. He made honor roll, and he became a great public speaker, and his character development has just been amazing to watch. And it's really hard to watch him leave us because you never want to see these kids go, but it's also so rewarding to see him go. And then you step back, like he just left, Wednesday, and I look at him, or Tuesday, and I look at him in the weight room talking to the younger guys about what they have to do to fulfill their dreams. And, those guys are soaking it in, and it kind of makes, Casey, Bruce, and I, for instance, step back and say, okay, here's the next group that we have to develop. And, it's a constant. There's never not another group of kids. So we're trying to bring them in the minute they step foot in that door. We're trying to get our arms around them and encourage them to play multiple sports, not just football, but really develop them, both speed wise, because speed translates to everything, but also mentally, and focus on grades, because we do a recruiting class, a few times a year where we show the kids how important grades are to playing sports in college, and how it can open the door for colleges and get you accepted. And that's really what we spend most of the time doing, is just talking about the development of each kid.
Yeah, and in that development, like you said, just how important it is to see somebody grow, and as you mentioned with Syer, to see, and I've seen it too with different people that I've spoken to over time, how they evolve. And they say that you always want to be learning, you always want to be growing, or else you're kind of just dying. And
Absolutely,
no matter how old you get, you want to have those moments, and I think that's huge. There's so many leadership qualities and pieces that we've talked about here this morning. When you do goof around, when you do have some fun, who are we looking at on staff? Anybody on staff? Who's like the class clown on staff? And then who's the stone face? Like, I want to know the person that can get any of you to laugh in any given moment, no matter how hard it is. And then I want to know that person that's just like, they're so serious that the staff tries their hardest to try and get this person to laugh.
Well, I think of everybody, it's probably Coach Brown. He's the most stoic of all of us, and the most serious. But we've found ways to break him down. We have his number now, so Bruce and I definitely can punch buttons. So now I tease Bruce, and he's teasing me, and Casey's like the judge. So it's fun. So my new line for last year was "Offense is cute." And I don't know if you saw it during the ring ceremony, but I forget who mentioned it, but I looked over my shoulder, and our quarterback coach, Bob Battaglia, and Bruce both, kind of gave me a stare. So I got a gift for them coming. We'll have a good chuckle when it comes out. But yeah, Casey's definitely the one that's the hardest to crack, and we get him going every once in a while.
So who's the clown? Who's the one that can just make anybody laugh?
It's probably Kyle Robinson, because he's the jack of all trades. He deals with all of us, and we're always messing up something, technically with our our huddle system or our headphones or something, and he's always got to come try to unwind it and fix it. And he gets the brunt of our jokes, but he's also the one that cracks them back to us, and he's always trying to help us get things straightened back out.
I like that. Now you said, so you came up like and I do know, because I do remember this from the ring ceremony. The offense is cute. Where did this come from, and what is behind this for you?
So I could tell you where I think it came from, but I every year I come up with some new thing. I mean, it's somehow what I've been doing the last few years at least. So I've always teased the offenses, like, you guys come out here and you have all these design plays, and you have this real technical plan that you come into each game with. You're going to run this, and the defensive guys got to line up and obviously try to stop it. So just the mental side of that, the offensive play is the player, if you will, it is very much more of a student, I think, and not as reactive to what they're getting. And defensively, yes, you have to be a student in a different way. but you're obviously all reactive based on what the offense is doing. So, they tend to draw these lines and say, this is what we're going to do. And, we like to wreak havoc on those plans. So that's how it kind of came up.
And we look at this season defensively for CBA coming off of the 2023-24 season, 8 games where you did not allow a team to score double digits. We look back on in 49-8 against South Park High School, 56-0 against Union Endicott, 59-0 against FM, 62-0 against Liverpool, 45-6 against Utica Proctor. A bunch of these games on the road too, folks. 53-7 against Liverpool in the Section 3 Class AA semifinal round, 34-7 against CNS in the championship for Section 3 Class AA, and then against Bennett 21-8, knowing that Bennett is typically a force to be reckoned with. When we go back and we look at the fact that almost 10 games this season never saw a team pass 8 points, and then a bunch of shutouts, just what you can say about if offense is cute to you, what is defense?
We like to say we play offense on defense. So I'm always reminding our offensive coordinator that defense can win games because they can score and stop the other team from scoring, where offense doesn't have that luxury. But I think that the thing that we like to do is really try to take the ball away. So one of the more astounding stats, and there was quite a few, but we have 57 turnovers forced last year in 14 games. And I'm not quite sure if that's a state record. Someone would have to compile it, but I know it's pretty darn good. So when you can get the ball 57 more times than the opponents over a season, you're doing something right. And for us, I know people see the athletes, and I think we develop the athletes really well. But I could tell you, we spend just as much time in teaching the athletes scheme and also teaching them tendencies of the offense. And we spend an inordinate amount of time watching film and finding little keys that give us clues. And our kids are I can't commend them enough for the students they are of the game. But I dare say, we probably watch 50 to 60 hours of film for an opponent, and the kids probably watch 4 to 5 hours of film, and they see one little thing, they know where to react. And that definitely helps.
Here with Brian Bruno here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Heritage Hill Studios, a CBA Syracuse Defensive Coordinator on staff for the 2021 and 2023 New York State Championships. 2021, the team went 9-3, won a Class A New York State Championship. In 2023, just a few months ago, this team went 14-0 and won a Class AA championship. When we look back on this, sorry, hey, sorry, my dog was crying here. I want to make sure she's okay.
You're good.
So when we look back on this Class A and Class AA, when you reflect on this, what can you say about being a part of the two different classes inside of Section 3, and just what your takeaways have been from both of those experiences en route to state titles?
Yeah, I mean, look, we just had a cookout the other day, and a bunch of the kids were over, and guys from both teams were having this discussion of which one's better. Anytime you win, you're a champion, and it doesn't really matter how you get there. And when I look at that 21 team, what they did was so amazing because we were coming off so many years of mediocrity and even losing, I'll say. And for them to go into the playoffs 3-3 and put together 6 straight wins, I don't know as if that's really been done many times before. I know there's 1 or 2 teams. I think that Auburn team years ago, that got in, was able to do it too. But the belief they had as a team, that team was as tight as you could get. And they literally, on the last play, I'll never forget it. Coach Brown and I, we called a timeout, and those kids came to the sideline. They were waiting for our instructions, and we kind of dialed in on what we thought Somers was going to do. But by the time we called the play, the kids all started telling each other they loved you, loved the guy next to them, and they weren't going to let him down. And coach said, "What do you want to call?" And I just said, "I think they just called it." So that team was just special from top to bottom. And then last year, I think coming off the year before, where we had a tough break, we lost to a really good CNS team, but our quarterback got hurt, and it just felt it was a deflating end of the season because I think we thought we were better than how we finished. But even still, that this team this year, had a similar bond to the 21 team, but they believed they were going to win. So it was a little different than 21. The 21 team, didn't want to let each other down because there was such a tight bond. This year's team, had a more of accountability bond, right? Which is, hey, we can be champions. You need to do your part. So those two teams are built similarly, but a little different. And I think this year's team just had an enormous amount of talent, and they really worked hard. Our weight room season going into last year was phenomenal. And I think, not to get too deep into that right now, but the more time we've spent in development, I can truly see the benefits that we're making with these kids. And, I think we're set for the next few years because we've kind of changed how we're developing. I think we're getting away from, the traditional football power stuff, where you're doing a lot of powerlifting and getting really strong. And we really started harnessing more into mobility, speed, and some things that really translate well into football. So not to get long-winded about your question, but this 23 team was special because of how hard they worked and the immense amount of effort they put into getting to be great, and I think they were.
Why do you think that? I mean, obviously, you can do what you could do as a coach, right? You can say, let's watch film. You can be with them and sitting next to them watching film. You could tell them to watch it at home. You could tell them to make sure that they run. You could tell them to be in the weight room, but you can't be everywhere all the time, always. So there's personal responsibility that goes along with all of this. Why do you think that this past team that you're talking about was so, and not that the other team wasn't, just speaking here on 2023 most recently, why do you think that this team was so responsible? Why were they doing the things that they needed to do? Why weren't they slacking? Why was this not like yeah, okay, coach, we'll do what we need to do, and as soon as he turns the corner, we're gonna, goof around and not really do that? There's a level of personal responsibility that you have no control over.
Yeah, look, I think that our job is I'll say as coaches we're educators. So our job as an educational community at CBA is to teach these kids the skills that they need to be successful, no matter what they're doing. When you show up and you have to put a tie on, you're already saying I'm gonna be a serious person today.
Yeah.
And for us, that is really the start of the day. It's like making your bed every day. So I think when these kids come to school, they have a seriousness to them that you might not see at other places, or at least surrounded by people that are all serious versus other places that maybe are a little bit more mixed. So the kids on our team study together. We have study table before we lift. We review grades with them every single day. We will not let them participate if they're missing homework assignments or are failing. And what happens over time when you're consistent, and I like to say this even as a parent, I don't generally think kids mind discipline. I think kids enjoy discipline provided it's consistent and they know the rules.
Yeah.
And once you get those instilled in them, they start holding each other accountable because they understand the expectation that we all have, and not that there's consequences, but they're letting themselves down to their goals, and they're letting their brother down next to them for their goals. So it really is a community, and I know for people that outside the walls might think this is just words, but it really is a community. I mean, we have seventh graders lifting with seniors, and they all hold each other accountable in different ways. And it's the way they have to come in the weight room and on the field with our school colors. They can't be late. They have to have their shoes tied. They have to be ready to go, or they can just go home. And the minute you have that rule and it's put in place, everybody knows what they have to do.
Yeah, and I think that there's something to be said about, like you said, putting a tie on, making sure that you have what you need. Like if you're coming out, be ready, be on time, have your shoes tied, have the tie on, have that. It's. I mean, I went to CBA, and I know that there's just something to be said about, if you want to be taken as a professional, then act right. If you
Yeah.
want to be taken professionally, then be professional and do the things that you would. And it's funny how they say, like, people so much in life look for, when you're looking for something in your life, you say, this is what I want another person to be, this is what I want another person to do. And they say, if you want to attract that, then be that. If you want that in your life, then do that yourself. Be the person that's doing the like living the qualities and having the qualities that you want to see in somebody else. And I think that there's these qualities. It's really not hard to do. It's not hard to. I mean, you might have to learn how to tie a tie a couple times, and there's a couple different ways of doing it. But once you know how to tie your tie, and you know how to tuck your shirt in, and you comb your hair and do those things. I mean, think about it. Repetition. You teach a kid how to brush their teeth. You teach a kid, to take a bath or take a shower, cut your toenails. There's things that should just be second nature. And once you get into that habit, we talk about bad habits all the time, but good and bad habits are formed the same way, and they take time to form either one of them. And once you get into a rhythm of either a good or a bad habit, you can break it, but whichever way you decided to go is where you've kind of put yourself and put your life. And I love the talk of creating good habits and taking the time to be consistently good and not occasionally great. And I'd love for you to maybe speak on that. And if there's any habits you have, Brian, that you feel like are ones that started a while ago or maybe started recently, that you think like, hey, this little thing has really made me a better coach. It's made me a better person. It's made me a better family man, to have this thing in my life that people might overlook.
Yeah, it's funny. We were talking a little while ago about leadership, if you will, and I was mentioning to you how we try to study other successful people.
Yeah.
One thing you just touched on, and I'm a diehard Red Sox fan, but I really admire other teams, and one of the things the Yankees have always done is made their guys shave. And in this day and age, right, for their philosophy still to mean something tells you why it's important. And you're talking about putting a tie on. Our kids have to be clean shaven. They have to have neat hair. All these things transcend into when they go to college, and they know how to get up in the morning, and they have good study habits, and they look clean, and they dress neat. They all end up getting better jobs because of it. And those are the types of things that we'd like to copy. And the other part of your question, I'll never forget the speech Jim Valvano gave, and we hear it, once a year. And I'm still to this day, my wife laughs. Like when it comes on, I have to, like, everything in the house has to come off, and I have to listen to it.
Yeah.
But when he said every day you should laugh, every day you should cry, and every day you should think, and laugh, and I literally try to do that every day. I think the key, in my opinion, to life is trying to be in balance. I think when you do anything in excess, no matter if it's good or not, it becomes bad because it takes away from something else you should be doing. So that thought of sitting in thought every day, of having your emotions moved, and then also laughing and smiling, it really does try to, at least for me, that's something I try to focus on every day. And sometimes it's reading a book. Sometimes it's just sitting by myself. Sometimes it's talking to one of my best friends, like, the coaches we mentioned. I try to really open my mind to other ways to do things, and keep learning, and like life. And I don't know if you've read that one by Jeffrey Marks, but it's an extraordinary book. I think it's one of the best books ever written. And it has to do with a legendary coach down in Baltimore that played at Syracuse, Joe Earlman. But I hand the kids the books, and I make them read them, and we talk about them. And those are things that I hope they'll look back on someday and appreciate. But getting them to understand how their role is in the team and how it helps them individually someday. Hopefully that's the good part.
Yeah, and like you said, think, laugh, and cry. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because when I first saw the speech and I saw Jim Valvano say that, I wrote on a Post-it note, if you think, laugh, and cry every day, you've had one hell of a day. And
Right.
I actually mentioned that. I think I mentioned that on the show earlier this week, the think, laugh, and cry. And I'm with it. I'm with it. I think there's, that emotion of crying, that appreciation, that care that you have. It doesn't have to be a bad cry. It can be a cry of, in my world, it's a cry of really being thankful for what I have. The laughing, I laugh every day. I laugh with my parents. I laugh with my friends. I love making people laugh. I've been that way my whole life. I'm the jokester. So, and then the think part of it is, that thought. I mean, I connect that to prayer. Whenever I'm praying, I don't pray in I get up, I pray, and then see you later, God. No, I mean, I'm praying all day long, and I'm having an open dialogue with God all day long. I mean, Lily here in the studio, she was biting her paw and she started to cry, and I don't know why she was doing that. But while we're here and you and I are talking, in my head, I'm also like saying a prayer that she heals and that she's okay, and because she's a good one and I love her. So I mean, I think that think, laugh, and cry. I mean, it's very top of mind for me. I wrote it when I was, I don't even know. I wrote it down when I was a kid, and now I still think about it. There's certain things that just don't leave you, and when I do have those moments of crying and having that emotion and that appreciation, I'm like, well, remember what Jim Valvano said. Remember that, like, this is meaningful. This is good that you have this level of care for somebody, or this love, or this appreciation. And I got to shout out my mom. I'd say this. I've said this to her, but she's the only person in the world that my whole life I could cry any day thinking about my mom. And it's good. It's because I really appreciate the person that she is. And she can get me to cry because the love that I have for her and she has for me is so genuine and it's so real. And to me, she's just a great mom. She's consistent. And what she would have done for me at CBA, she'd do for me today. So, those are things that go a long way. And we got to shout out Mom. So, Ma, if you're watching, listening, I love you. But, Brian, before I let you go here, let's play some rapid fire. Let's have some fun. I'm so excited about the championships and what is to come for you guys, but I'm more excited about the gentlemen that I meet and the connections that I've made. And just the, Dante Baccier, him and I had the opportunity to speak a couple times on the show and through his recruitment, but we had never met in person. At the ring ceremony, I met his mom, and she came right up to me, and she goes, I should have brought meatloaf. That's because on the show, him and I were talking about our moms and talking about food and what the favorite food is. She watched the show. She remembered it. She goes, I knew that was you, and I had to ask you that. And then I'm standing on stage, and Casey let me borrow his ring, so I put it on, and I'm doing some things with the ring and stuff. And unfortunately, Casey didn't let me keep it. I don't know why. And and so while I'm up there taking pictures and shooting some video, I turn around, and there's this tall gentleman walks up to me. It's Dante Baccier, and he's like, hello, Mr. Tortora, and he put his hand out and shook my hand. He wanted to just meet me in person, wanted to talk to me, and wanted to say hello in person. And it's moments like that where I'm like, it's different. These kids are different. Yeah. And then, being on the plane coming back from Florida, Syer and Symir Torrance were coming back with their families from the Dominican. And I'm talking with my mom, and I'm at the airport in Orlando, and I look across and I see Symir, and I'm looking at him, and because he's in front of the window, and I'm going, is that Symir? Is this a mirage, or is that Symir? And I'm looking right at him, and he smiles and he waves, and I was like, it is. And then I turned my head to the right, and there's Syer, and it's in just those moments, we ended up, we from the moment we saw each other, We stayed together. We walked through the line together. We got on the plane together. And, I saw Mr. and Mrs. Torrance and got to talk with them for a second. And it's just, there's something to be said about doing, again, those little things and being kind and going up to people and showing appreciation and showing thanks and yes sir, no sir, and all of that. And it just, to me, it goes a long way. And being at those ceremonies really mean the world to me. And the fact that I was invited to them means a lot. I hope you know that. And, there's a few things I think. Number one, I love being around a family that actually looks like a family. Number two, I'm really proud to know some really good people that are connected to all of this and these wonderful kids that come through. And number three, as I've said to Casey, when am I getting a ring, Brian? When am I going to have one is the question.
I think you got to be pretty close now. I appreciate all the coverage you give us, and you hit it on the head though. These kids are just they're special. They're different. In an age where everyone wants to send a text message and an email and put their head down and not say hi to you and just use some automated thing.
Yeah.
I'm mostly proud of how these guys are interacting with adults and having conversations and looking in their eyes and shaking their hands and being polite. Every time I hear that, it's everything, right? I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. No, they definitely have an impact on me in a positive way. Let's play some rapid fire. You get to go first. Okay. What do you got for me?
All right. So I was ready this time. Because
okay.
Last time you took me off guard. All right. So we got a boxing match that got delayed, but I want to know who you got in the Paul Tyson fight.
Oh man, Iron Mike is Iron Mike. I can't go against Mike Tyson. By the way, so random that this would happen, but in the movie The Hangover, of any song that he could fall in love with, that is my favorite drum solo. And I just, every time when I think about In the Air Tonight, I think about Phil Collins, and then I also think, in the chorus line, guys, come on. Oh, I just picture him saying that, it's like, seeing Mike Tyson do the, I can feel it. It gets me every time in the chorus line. I can't go against Mike Tyson. I think anybody who picks In the Air Tonight is a smart one. I don't know if he did or the screenwriter did, but I listen, in a ring with Mike, I don't care if he's 100 years old. I don't think anybody wants to get hit by Mike Tyson. So
I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Mike. You could have said Mike Tyson versus anybody, and I'm just Mike Tyson.
Yeah, go with Mike. Yeah,
it's kind of where I'm going with. Dude bit somebody's ear off. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
He's an animal. I hope he doesn't do that again. But that's insane. Absolutely insane. So my question back to you is, if you could pick anybody on the staff to have a jet ski race in Onondaga Lake, who would you pick that you believe you could beat?
A jet ski race.
Yes.
That's a tricky one. I'll tell you who I'm not picking. I'm not picking Gideon Dixon because Gideon's good at everything and he still looks like he can play in the NFL. I'm going to go against Coach Brown just because I want to beat him.
Okay.
I'm not saying I'm going to beat him, but I'll find a way to beat him. I'll take the fuel out of his jet ski or something. I'll find a way. I'll siphon it when he's not looking, but that's who I'd want to beat.
All right, fair enough. What's your next one for me?
So this is a question I always have with my son, but the top 5 NBA players all time.
Michael Jordan.
Yep.
Maybe not. Kobe. Do I want to put them 1 through 5? I guess if I put them 1 through 5, Jordan 1, Bill Russell 2. Nobody talks about Bill Russell, and
I was surprised you brought him up.
Yeah. He won 11 championships. He won as many championships as Jordan and Kobe together. can we just? But I'm gonna say. So I'll say Jordan, Russell, Kobe. This is going to be difficult for me now. I would say, I'd probably say Magic and Bird. There's something about Magic and Bird, but then like Oscar Robertson, there's David Robinson. I mean, there's so many guys I could put in here. Gary Payton, has anybody played better defense in a string of time than the Glove? I mean, but I think I safely would put Jordan, Russell, Kobe, and then Magic and Bird, but then I'd be thinking about Oscar and Kareem and that. But yeah, I think without doubt, Bill Russell is in the top 5. And if I can't, because when people say Tom Brady's the GOAT and you say why, and they're like, well, look at all the championships he won. You can't make that argument and then unmake that argument. Like if you say Tom Brady is the GOAT because no one has won more than he has, then who is Bill Russell, ladies and gentlemen? So, I mean, I got to put Bill in there, but Jordan can fly.
But I'm 100% with you. I was shocked because nobody ever brings up Bill Russell, but the analogy you just used with Tom Brady is the same one I always use when I get asked that. So
yeah,
I think you got that one spot on.
Championships are championships, and I'm not putting LeBron right in there because LeBron walks off the court when he loses. So
yep.
And that's not how a gentleman. That's not how I don't think that CBA would teach
sport.
You to do that. That's not a good sport, and he did that when the Raptors won the 2019 NBA Finals, my team. And listen, I respect LeBron's game. He's talented. He's got a lot of great stuff going for him. But at the end of the day, can you lose as gracefully as you win? And that answer right now is no. My question back for him, not for me. For me, my goodness, I've lost and still getting that shake hand line. So my question for you, Mr. Bruno, is if you could make any 3 actors your siblings, which 3 actors would you want to be Bruno's and have Christmas with and Thanksgiving with? Who would be the 3 actors you'd want to adopt?
That's a tough one, boy. Well, do they could be deceased?
Yeah.
Okay, all time, right?
Yeah.
So I'd have to go with Chris Farley because that guy, I don't know if he's ever not funny. I just can't imagine being around him, but he's got to be a handful, but definitely would be fun to have in the room. And I love comedians. The second one would be Dan Aykroyd. I don't know why, but I find his humor really funny. And then I'd probably go Will Smith. And I know he's been a little controversial recently, but he's just so darn talented at everything. You need one guy in the room that can help you, defend yourself. And, he's an amazing person. If I'm not mistaken, he went to MIT and, he's just a very, very smart guy and has done a lot musically, as well as on the screen. It's hard not to think of him as one of the most talented people in show business. So those would probably be my 3.
Yeah, if Will Smith wants to apologize for all entertainers that get up on a stage, with me included, and the fact that there should be an invisible line between the crowd and the performer, then I'll like Will Smith again. I was always a fan, right. But not right now, not in the moment.
I listen. I get it. But that was hard to watch. I'll put it that way.
Oh yeah, no, that was. And obviously that's a pain that comes from a different place, but he took it out on somebody else. Right. So, Will, listen, I believe in forgiveness. I believe in God. I just would like for you to maybe apologize. That we talk about what does it mean to be a man? Apologizing.
That's very true.
I grew up in a house where my dad maybe apologized twice in 18 years, and I was like, I can't be like that. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And so what is your last question for me?
All right. So I just got back from a 2-week trip to Italy, and it was fantastic. But I was reminded of all the several good foods that we have in our heritage.
Yeah.
So I'm asking you, if you had one Italian dish to have as your last supper, what do you go?
My goodness. Oh, man. It'd probably be, my mom's a good cook. My grandmother's up in heaven, good cooks too. I'd have to say my G Mama's stuffed shells and meatballs. I'd have to I'd have to give it up to my mom's mom, G Mama. She made the best meatballs in the world, and like you knew that they were good because she'd like put them in the oven, crisp them up a little bit, like then like put them right on it, like put the stick right in there and hand it to you with no sauce on it. And it was
That's
like
right.
the best thing in the world. So, I mean, the stuffed
I
shells,
love
she'd
it.
make stuffed shells at 9 o'clock at night. She'd make like 40 of them, meatballs, because we had family coming in town. We'd be eating dinner at like 9:30. And like, I gotta say the stuffed shells and meatballs. I don't think my mom can be mad at that because I feel like she thinks I would pick that. So, but I would also say, as a card carrying Italian and Hispanic, I obviously would have a plan to get out of my Last Supper. So,
That's I love it. I love it.
my
So
final
true.
question for you is, if you could spend a day with Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, and Joe Pesci, what would you want to do for
Ooh,
24 hours with them?
play cards. I'd love to I'd just sit around a table, play poker with them.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
I could
That's
appreciate
a
it.
great. That's an interesting crew right there.
Did,
That's great.
Now, did you know, Mr. Bruno, that I do impressions? Did you know that I've done?
I
Go
I
ahead.
did not. But before you answer, I just in a couple charity things, I picked up an autographed poster of all the Sopranos,
Oh wow.
and then one of Donnie Brasco, and the last one I need is the Godfather group.
Oh
So
wow.
I got to get I got to get Pacino in there. But I I love the question.
Yeah, no, I love.
So what impersonations do you do?
Well, the last time that we made a list, there was 47,
Oh my gosh,
but there's a Joe Pesci, and I figured I might as well, do that this morning
I love it.
while we're here. So, but and I've recorded things as him, like full blown stuff. But yeah, people know him from Home Alone, and that's when I first started to to get that little, you got to get that right there. So I got that voice, and so when people are like Pesci, and I go, yeah, you remember him from Home Alone, the short guy with the hat that got burned? They're like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And I said, when he looked up at Macaulay Culkin, and he said, Sonny, nothing would please me more than to shoot you. so so my Pesci's always ready to go. And
You got that one dialed in. That's good.
yeah, so
That's good.
if you are having a moment this season with the team, and you feel like they just need another message, another voice, I'll walk in as Joe Pesci and I'll do an entire speech.
We'll bring a Macaulay Culkin on the field for you.
Nice, I like that.
We'll, we'll, we'll have a
Give
roll.
me something, yeah, something to focus on. That's good. But
That's
yeah,
it.
Pesci, and
I
here's a
love it.
little known fact: he made Home Alone and Goodfellas in the same year. So in a year where he was chasing a kid around a house, he was also cutting up bodies and putting them in the trunk of a car in Goodfellas. And that to me is like same year. And G Mama, to mention her really quick, we watched Goodfellas together. It's
Oh,
like 9 o'clock at night. We're watching Goodfellas. I had never seen it. It's like a 4 hour movie. We're watching this movie, and I'm like, Graham, are you okay? She goes, yeah. Why? I go, "Oh, it's like it's violent. She's like, no, I'm fine. And then he's like putting the body in the trunk. I go, Grandma, are you okay? She goes, yeah, I'm fine. I go, then it's like 10 o'clock. I'm like, do you want to go to bed? She goes, no, I'm fine. I'm wide awake. Are you good? Do you want to go to bed? No, okay. And she's watching this movie in silence. And that's when you realize that Italian blood all has the same response to movies like that, where we see that and we go, hey, he probably did something wrong. so,
that's right.
so that's like the horse head in
Amen.
the bed in The Godfather. You're like, the
That's
guy was
it.
a snitch. I mean, what do you want to say? So
Exactly. He
with
had it
that,
coming.
with, with that being said, Brian Bruno, start it with football, end it with Italian stuff. Always happy to talk with you. CBA Syracuse Defensive Coordinator on staff for the 2021 and 2023 New York State titles, but more than anything, helping mold young minds and helping these student athletes become good professionals, fathers, as well as husbands, and so on and so forth. Brian, thank you for your time, and thank you for the laughs. And I look forward to the jet skiing between you and Casey Brown.
We're going to have to make that happen. Absolutely.
Thank you.
You come video it.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
I got to come and shoot that live. So
you got it.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be like trying to shove like a diaper inside of like the pipes and stuff. I mean, I'm going to be, and when Casey, if and when Casey loses, I'm going to go, Casey, do you want to see the tape? And I'm going to have all of this like pre-recorded stuff of what you did to his jet ski. And he's going to be like, I thought we were brothers. I thought we were family. I'd be like, we are, but this was a funnier way for me to show the race and then have the tape of what Brian actually did to win. And then we could do a little documentary about it. Would be very nice.
It's all fair in love and war, right?
It is.
So I love it.
Well, thanks, Coach. And I look forward to talking with you soon. Have a good day.
You too. Be well.
See you. Bye. That coming from Coach Bruno here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. As always, appreciate his time and appreciate the time of CBA Syracuse and here in our local community, the wonderful leaders. And we appreciate you for being here. And we appreciate Miss Lily. So don't like that she was crying in the studio here. She was biting her paw. So, I'm a father first. I'm always going to make sure my girl's okay. So we'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll come back right after this. You want to show your face? Want to show the world who you are? Miss Lillian. Love you, girl. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back right after this with Papa Joe, where sports meets life, on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the taste of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9 K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to K9 Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Appreciate you being here, hanging out with us inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. You know, Heritage Hill is our exclusive studio partner and a place that I love to go because they're just, I mean, number one, I love supporting local. I love supporting my community of Central and Upstate New York because I love home. And the brew house is like, it's like jumping into the Sound of Music when you go out there and you see all the rolling hills. And I brought my mom out there for Mother's Day so that she could feel like she was in the Sound of Music. And the food was great. The ambiance is great. I love being out at the brew house on Sweet Road in Pompey. And for years, being able to go out there and experience that. And then now you fast forward to Heritage Hill North and this new location on 628 South Main Street, North Syracuse. And we've been able to broadcast a bunch of shows there already. We have, that's where we do our CNS North Stars broadcasts, and we don't do them anywhere else. We do them right there on site, on location. When it comes to CNS, we're always at Heritage Hill North, which is right down the road from Cicero North Syracuse High School and the North Stars. And I love being in there. I love the setup that we have. I love the acoustics that we have at Heritage Hill North. Big fan of their flatbreads, and that they take that dill pickle taste and they give like that taste and they put it inside of like the cheese or on the dough. It just has like this hit every time you go out and get it. And just the overall atmosphere and the setup and the dynamic that they have is really cool at Heritage Hill North. So make sure you head out there on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, and make sure you head out to Pompey and take a little drive and have some fun out there in the country at the brew house on Sweet Road in Pompey. So with that being said, here on a Thursday, Papa Joe is always ready to go. And him and I are going to be speaking on a bunch of different topics today. We'll be discussing the world of Major League Baseball. We'll also get into the Belmont Stakes, and we'll get into the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's my honor and my privilege to have Papa Joe here on the show as always, and I can't thank him enough. And just I really appreciate having him here on the show and getting to talk with him, getting to interact with PJ, and always having some fun and having some laughs. So let's bring him into the broadcast. The man of the hour on Thursday is here, Mr. Papa Joe. PJ, how we doing?
Good morning, Daniel. Everything's fine.
And
Rocking and rolling.
PJ, let's jump right into Major League Baseball here, because we got a few things, like I said, we're going to discuss today, from Belmont Stakes at Saratoga and Major League Baseball and the Jaguars. So let's go right into baseball and bring us through this. As PJ always does, he lets us know what's happening in the baseball world from both leagues, every division. He breaks it down, and it's your crash course of catching up with baseball, and I love it. So, PJ, fire away when ready, sir.
Okay, bud. Well, I'll start what I usually do. I'll go through the standings, and then I'll go through individual accolades. So
Yeah.
I'll start with American League East, like I usually do. The Yankees are playing unfriggin' believable baseball. They're 44-19, 8-10 in the last 10 games. Baltimore's 3.5 back. The Red Sox and Tampa Bay are tied at 12.5 back. So it looks like New York and Baltimore are going to be fighting it out all through the summer. Great baseball. Baltimore's got a real young, tough team. Yankees veterans are starting to come on. Soto is just killing the ball. Judge is killing the ball. So it's fun to watch. The Central Division, we got Cleveland leading at 40-20. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games, playing great ball. Kansas City is second. They're 36-26. They're 5 games behind. Minnesota 33-28, 7.5 behind. Good division. Last year I really nailed all these guys because they were so poor. This year it's the other way around. They're getting me. In the West, we got Seattle at 35-28, 8-2 in their last 10 games. They got a little separation from Texas, who was 30-32, 4.5 back. And Houston is still playing deep fair ball, not great ball, not bad ball, but fair ball. They're still 28-35. They're 7 games behind. That's nothing for them. They have a very powerful hitting team. I expect them to creep up very shortly. National League East, I got Philly at 44-19. The Yankees have finally caught Philly as the best record in baseball. Philly's doing it with 3 stud pitchers. They're tough to beat. They hit well. They do it all. And it's difficult to keep this kind of string going for the entire summer. Somewhere they're going to be a little bump in the road. but they seem to be overcoming the little minor things, and they're hanging in there. Atlanta, who I thought would be running away with this division, is 34-25. They're 8 games behind Philly. And this is Atlanta, who I thought was going to take over this division. Not so. The woeful New York Mets are 16.5 games behind. They look like a AAA club. The Central Division has Milwaukee 36-26, Chicago's 31-31, St. Louis 29-31. They're 5 games behind Milwaukee. This looks like it's going to go down to the wire. All these 3 teams they have decent pitching, very good hitting, good managing. I'm always bad-mouthing this division too, but they're making me eat my words this year. In the West, we got LA at 38-25. San Diego's 32-33, 7 games behind. Arizona's 29-33, 8.5 behind. Los Angeles is in a little bit of a slump. They have lost 10 of their last 15 games. Not supposed to happen, folks. They're supposed to run away with this division. It looks like San Diego can stay close with their powerful hitting team. Arizona's still got a lot of ground to make up. They're still not hitting very well. And Corbin Carroll, last year's superstar freshman, still batting below the Mendoza line. They got to pick it up. The American League hitting average, Juan Soto of the Yankees and Bobby Witt of Kansas City are tied at 319. Both guys can hit the ball, steal bases, hit for power, hit for average. They're great players, especially Bobby Witt. Home runs, Aaron Judge has got 21 leading the pack. RBIs is Jose Rabanes from Cleveland has got 58. For pitching, Seth Lugo has got 9 wins from KC. The ERA leader is Louis Gill from the Yankees, 1.82. Don't know where he came from. He's been pitching really well. Lugo, Lugo's been leading in wins and ERA for the last month. And he got tattooed last week. His ERA is now up to 2.13. Manuel Klassen of Cleveland is leading with 19 saves. We go to the National League. The average is your boy Ohtani. He's hitting 323. Home runs, Marcelo Ozuna from Atlanta's got 15. Ohtani's got 15. RBIs, Ozuna's got 53. Ohtani's got 40. I'm going to say this now. There's a distinct possibility that Ohtani can win the Triple Crown this year. He hits that well. I don't even know. We've mentioned this before. I don't think he may pitch again. I don't know if they can ever get this guy out of the lineup. He's just too good. Last week, he had a little bit of a hamstring problem. And last night was something to behold. The Pirates have got this all-world pitcher of Paul Skeens. He's from LSU.
Yeah.
And he's a rookie this year. And he blew through the minor leagues so fast, they brought him up to the major leagues last week. He got 3 wins. Last night, Paul Skeens had to face the Los Angeles Dodgers. The first at-bat from Skeens to Ohtani, 300-mile-an-hour fastballs struck him out. Next time he got back up, he looked at Skeens, tipped his hat, then went yard. So welcome to the big leagues, kid. In the National League, I've already done that. Wins, Ranger Suarez has got 9 from Philadelphia. Wheeler, Nola, and Suarez of Philadelphia are going to keep it going for the entire summer. I believe that. He's leading in ERA 1.70. Ryan Hemsley from St. Louis has 20 saves. A lot of action, nothing really happening, but there is got some all-star voting coming up at the trade deadline coming up. I got some notes here that Garrett Cole had a rehab start. He was throwing 97 miles an hour, 5 Ks, 5 innings. There's some sad news, which I hate to bring it out, but you got to cover the news. This kid Marcano, who got caught betting on baseball, is now has a lifetime ban. The kid will not be able to play ball again. 4 others were caught but they were suspended.
Yeah.
That's, it's a terrible thing to talk about. But these kids that come from the foreign countries, the Dominicans and Cubans and things, they just don't have the intelligence or the wherewithal to do things right. They just, I hate, it's terrible. I mean, they have great talent on a ball club, on a ball team, but they just don't live properly.
Yeah, I mean that's tough news, and we've seen that. We've seen it with football, and we've seen it the last couple of years with the NFL and betting and whatnot. Which is, it's to me, it's kind of like a dicey thing because, when we see this stuff and we see these bans, these lifetime bans or suspensions and whatnot, you also look at the fact that they're making a lot of money off of this, but there's the leagues make a ton of money off of the betting, and then the NFL bringing the stuff into the stadiums and all that, and at the same time, you're suspending the players for doing it. But once the players are retired, they can do it, but they can't do it within it. Why? Maybe insider trading, maybe that thought process of they know too much information or whatever that may be. Whatever it is. And the thing is, some of these guys are making a ton of money. Some of them aren't, right? Some people, no matter how much they make, it's not enough. So there's a lot that goes into it, but you just hope that people make good decisions. And it's unfortunate to hear when somebody doesn't. And a lifetime ban, I mean, it's a tough pill to swallow. So I pray and I hope the best for, all involved, because it's not something you ever want to hear. When we take a look at the Arizona Diamondbacks here, I want to make a little note. The Diamondbacks are 29-33 at the time that we're talking right now. They've been a little bit below 500 for many weeks now, but they just won 4 in a row before losing to the Giants 9-3. They beat the Mets. Their last 2 games on the road with the Mets, they split the series 2-2. They won the last 2. Then they beat the Giants in their series 2-1. That game was at home in Arizona at Chase Field. And now they're facing off against the Padres. That starts tonight on the road at San Diego. They will play the Padres in a 4-game series. That series will start tonight, June 6th, at 9:40 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, Arizona's 29-33. The Padres are 32-33. If Arizona can win these games against the Padres, Arizona will go from 4th to 2nd, arguably, behind only the Dodgers. That's how quickly this individual series can change things. And this is what I was saying about the Diamondbacks when they had the Mets and the Giants and the Padres. When I was looking at their schedule last week, I said this to you all. I said, if they handle business and they do what they need to do within these next few series, they can help flip the script on their season, and they have an opportunity to flip the script on their division within a 4-game series with the San Diego Padres starting tonight. If they are able to do this, it would put them at 34-33 if they were to win all 4 games, arguably, and it would put San Diego at 32-37, and Arizona would go from 4th in the NL West to 2nd in the NL West. And depending on what the Dodgers do, there still might be some separation, obviously, but Arizona would put themselves in a better footing. They didn't start off well against the Mets, but they were able to get it better toward the end. They were able to bounce back. And then what they did against the Giants was huge, because the Giants are above them by a half a game in the division. So if they do what they need to do against San Diego after doing what they did against San Francisco, they're putting themselves in a better position in the National League and in the National League West. So just want to make that note there about my Diamondbacks. And PJ, you can't see it, but I'm wearing my Arizona Diamondbacks shirt that I got from being at the World Series. I'm rocking that this morning. So, when you love your team in the ups and the downs. As an impartial broadcaster, they got a little hill to climb. As a fan, hey, I'm going to love them no matter what. And as someone who's analytically looking at this, Arizona's in control of their immediate destiny in the NL West in this series with the San Diego Padres. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen there. I love the note that you made about Paul Skeens and the fact that he went up against Shohei Ohtani and he got the best of him, and then Shohei tips his hat and goes, yeah, okay, you're not going to do it twice, honey. And then, goes yard on that. So I love that you told that story, and would love to get your thoughts on the Diamondbacks and where they are. They won 4 of their last 5. They have an opportunity, like I said, in the division, head-to-head to make a difference. So maybe what you think about that, and I know you said some things about Shohei as well, but whatever else you'd like to add.
Arizona is in decent shape. Marte seems to be leading their team at hitting. As I said, I thought Carroll would be doing a lot better. Marte's 276. He's got 12 home runs. So they're okay. They get a decent hitting team. But again, Carroll cannot keep batting like this. And I expressed my desire last week. I said, drop him down on the order. Let him look some different situations. Let him work his way back up again.
Yeah.
He's really an ideal leadoff hitter. But if you're hitting 192, you can't be leading off. So I don't know what their plans are, but they need to get him going. And maybe let him sit out for 3-4 games or so. But he's got to start hitting and getting on base for these big boppers to get some runs in. Pitching-wise, they seem to be in good shape with that. Who's their young pitcher that did well last year? I can't think of his name.
Talking about Brandon Pfaadt?
Yes. I can't pronounce that. Pfaadt. Yeah, Brandon Pfaadt. He's doing hanging in there. He's only 2-4 though, but his ERA is 4.32. He needs to do better than that too. Zach Gallen, of course, was all world last year. He's only 5-4. And his ERA is 3.12. So I look for them to settle down a little bit more. You got Ryan Nelson is 3-4, and his ERA is 5.44. Besides Felt and Gallen, the rest of these guys are way, way, way up there in ERA. Yeah. Not going to work that way. Can't do that. You got to be able to hold the teams down. They did a good job with sweeping the Mets, and when you're a good team, you're supposed to beat up on the bad guys, and they beat up. They should have won the whole series from New York because New York is playing so poor. But you strap up your cleats and you go out there and play. That's a good recap on Arizona right there.
Yeah, and like you said, Corbin Carroll. I mean, it's been tough. We're at this point we're 62 games, 62 games in. So taking a look at it right now, because they're 29 and 33, so they're 62 games in, and he has 2 home runs. So definitely not, and batting 192 like you mentioned. He's in a little slump, and what do you have to do to get out of a funk? You got to switch things up, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So we got to do something with him. They got to do something with him. They got, change his regiment. He's got to, maybe take a little break, go do something for himself, right? Go change his running habit. Get back to the basics. Get back to being him. Find those things that help you reset and recharge your battery. Maybe it's just sitting in the pool, being in the sun for a minute. Do something to kind of clear your mind. Pray, do some yoga, do something that helps you out. But we gotta shake it up a little bit with Corbin Carroll, because he's in a little funk. And looking at the other thing, Ryan Nelson, you talked about him as a pitcher. I'm pretty sure I have his rookie card, and so I'm very excited that Ryan is out there doing his thing as well, because I was wondering, I collect my Diamondbacks, and my big brother Joey helps me to do that. And Ryan Nelson, I got one of his cards, and I was like, man, I wonder when we're going to see this guy, because last year you didn't really hear his name, and now to be able to see that come up, I was like, hey, that's good stuff. I know I got that card somewhere. So with that being said, PJ, before we get into Belmont Stakes, I would love to get your thoughts on, in the Major League Baseball world, as we took a look at these standings, and you broke it down so nicely and so eloquently as you always do going through everything. As we take a look at where things are at currently, the Yankees are continuing to impress. The Cleveland Guardians are really stepping it up. They're 40-20 right now, and when we look at the Phillies are just leaps and bounds. I mean, the Braves are 8 games behind, but my goodness, this Phillies team has been so strong. They have the exact same record as the New York Yankees at 44-19. Who, between the Phillies and the Yankees, if you had a choice, if you were a manager and you were in the World Series managing a team, what team would you rather not play the most? Between the Yankees and the Phillies, if you had a choice, who would you not want to see in the World Series right now, in your opinion? Would it be the Yankees or the Phillies?
That's a loaded question there, buddy. Frankly, it all depends on where Garrett Cole is in his rehab start. But I've said it for the last month. Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, and Rangers Juarez are the 3 leading pitchers in all of baseball right now. Not just for the Phillies. As a triumvirate, they're leading. When you have three pitchers like that, one guy can maybe have an off night, but the other 2 can pick them up. They still win a series 2-3, 2-1. If I were to say right now, I would say based on what I've seen so far, I'd like the Phillies. Bryce Harper, he's still holding up his end of the bargain, hitting home runs. One guy they do miss, though, and that's Reese Hopkins that signed away and went to Milwaukee. If Hopkins was there, with these 3 pitchers and Harper, they would be even farther ahead. But that's the way it is. I mean, it's free agency. You got to do that way. As you progress through the summer, the Yankees start picking up some steam. Conte starts to pick a little bit better. Nestor Cortez is going to pitch a little bit better. And Cole coming back is really big. Cole is the man. Cole is, if he's healthy, the Yankees will ride him for as long as he can. Because the rest of the guys are just not that good to hold on. Cole is. Now, there's something else that I want to bring up that baseball purists like myself and even our fans maybe don't understand quite what it means. Umpires always get the brunt of everything. The players bitch at them, the managers bitch at them, everyone yells at the umpires because they're judgmental. I mean, they have to make a decision on a play or on a pitch. What confuses the umpires more than anything is what's called framing a pitch. A catcher gets in his stance. He's always moving his glove around from the left to the right side of the plate, up and down and around. When the ball is released from the pitcher, it comes to a certain spot. The catcher's always been trained to grab it, catch it, and move it toward the plate.
Yeah.
To make the umpire think that it's a strike instead of a ball. Now, most of the umpires know this trick, of course. And if it's too far outside, the catcher's trying to move it in, they're going to call a ball.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, the really, really good catchers can sometimes change the outlook of a game by framing pitches as strikes instead of balls. So the next time you're watching a game, and you're watching the pitcher from center field straight into the catcher, you see the catcher in the stance. When the ball's released and the catcher catches it, look and see where his glove is. If it's way outside, it's ridiculous. But if it's close, you're going to see such a subtle movement. He'll catch the ball and instantly he'll move it in or move it out.
Yeah.
To get the strike. It's fascinating to watch. The Hall of Fame catchers like Johnny Bench used to drive umpires crazy because he was so good at doing that. And the umpires, they got to go with it. They said if they think it's outside, and they got to call a ball. If it's not outside, they got to call a strike. The black of the plate is usually what these guys live by, the pitchers especially. So when the catcher moves his mitt a little bit in or out, you'll find it to be a strike instead of a ball. Lesson today.
Yeah. No, and also, I mean, we take a look at the fact that, being an umpire is a tough thing to do. and it's an extremely difficult job. Angel Hernandez has retired after 3 decades, and I know that people, were adamant about how they maybe felt about his calls and what he saw. What's your thoughts on there? I mean, this is not a show where we personally attack anybody. I'm not here to go after anyone. I know that he's been a lightning rod, and now that he's retired as an umpire in Major League Baseball, I just wanted to know, PJ, what your thoughts are on the retirement of Angel Hernandez.
Well, they couldn't have come early enough, frankly. I mean, there are 2 umpires that I've watched over the years, 30 years, or 40 years, whatever, are terrible. One was Joe West, the other is Angel Hernandez. These guys were so indifferent to everything that was done that they made the game about themselves instead of the players playing. All you want to do is see the guys run and hit and play and done and everything. You don't want to have to be always thinking about what the umpire is going to do. Angel Hernandez was unbelievably, I can't say poor. I mean, he was an umpire for 30 years. I mean, he had to do some things right. He had a lawsuit against the league because he thought he was being slandered because he couldn't get a World Series job, or he couldn't get a playoff job. He couldn't become a crew chief because he just wasn't good enough. And he took that personally, and he says, "Oh, because I'm Cuban American, I'm this." No, it doesn't work that way. There's plenty of umpires out there that are from the tropics that really work well, and they know what they're doing. Angel Hernandez and Joe West before him were 2 of the worst umpires I've ever seen. And sometimes they were so bad, it spoils the game. And you don't want the game in the hands of the umpire. You can't do that. Just like a basketball referee. Don't ruin the game by calling 50 fouls. Let them play and see what happens. This is what umpires are supposed to do. They're supposed to be observant with the rules, of course, and the laws of baseball, and call the game correctly. If you're a good balls and strike umpire, you're going to get kudos. Now, I'll tell you, pitchers don't miss it. Pitchers don't miss nothing, Daniel. When they can look at the lineup, they say, okay, I'm pitching 3 days from now. They immediately go into the umpire thing. Okay, who's umpiring that day? I got this guy coming, this guy calls him tight. This guy's a little bit more gracious with the plate.
Yeah.
They know the umpires. And the ones that are good are the ones that are going to call a tight game but fair. Some of them are just so bad, like Angel and Joe. They're awful. And Joe West, he'd even make both of these guys, if they're on first base, they're going to make the bad calls. In one game, Angel Hernandez had three objections to his out calls at first base. All 3 were overturned.
Yeah.
He didn't see him right. That's you piss away time. You got to take 5 minutes to review the play, and both of those guys. They should have. Joe West should have retired years ago. He just retired a couple years ago, and he was in the game for 40 friggin' years. And he was a bad umpire for a lot of those. And Angel Hernandez is the same way. That's it.
And coming here from Papa Joe, we're going to get into the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. We're also going to get into the Jaguars after this fast break. I do want to put a note out here, though. As you know, I put up polls all the time. I typically put them up when I'm on the call with PJ here, live on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Heritage Hill Studios. So I put up 2 polls here this morning, and this is what they are. You can vote on X, the former Twitter, @CallDT. That's CALLDT. If the World Series started today, who would you pick to win between the New York Yankees and the Philadelphia Phillies? You can vote in that poll right now, Yankees or Phillies. If the World Series started today, who would you pick to win between these 2 teams? Go and vote on X @CallDT. That's CALLDT. And I put up a basketball poll. As someone who I've interviewed over the last couple years, interviewed him a couple seasons ago, and obviously have been around the team in my coverage of the NCAA tournament and Big East basketball in general, I said, where do you think Dan Hurley will be in the 2024-25 season? The current head coach of the UConn Huskies is allegedly being targeted by the Los Angeles Lakers to become their next head coach, to move from college basketball to the NBA after helping guide the UConn Huskies men's basketball team to back-to-back Division I national championships. My question to you, where will Dan Hurley be in the 2024-25 season? Will he stay with UConn, or will he become the Lakers' new head coach? It started off with you immediately picking that he'll be the Lakers' new head coach. Then some of you went with staying with UConn. Now it's almost 50-50. You can vote in those polls right now on X @CallDT. That's CALLDT. And while you're there, make sure you click follow. And my big brother, who's out there pressure washing and doing his thing, so proud of him, took a second to say, what's up? So what's up to you, big bro? We'll take a step aside here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, from the Heritage Hill Studios. And when we come back, it's all about those Belmont Stakes and Saratoga right after this on Wake Up Call. Stay with us. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they're always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also, I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level, is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the tastes of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, we're here with Papa Joe having an awesome conversation this morning, per always. And we got some news that's been coming out here, folks. And I just talked about it, put up the poll about it, and would love to get your thoughts. You can vote in our polls. We got a couple polls up, one baseball, one basketball, and you can go and see those and vote in them by going to the former Twitter, which is called X now, @CallDT. That's CALLDT. Click follow while you're there, and let me know where you think Dan Hurley's going to be next season, as well as if the World Series started today, would you pick the Yankees or would you pick the Phillies? Want to get your thoughts. So from inside of the Heritage Hill Studios, let's talk about this Dan Hurley thing for a second. Covered Dan Hurley, I've interviewed Dan Hurley, and been around this program. I was at Big East Media Days this past season, starting off the season, and then last season, well, I should say 2 seasons ago when they won their first of the back-to-back championships, I interviewed Coach Hurley. And also his brother, when his brother was coaching out on the West Coast, and had the opportunity of, speaking with Dan Hurley and speaking with his team, with his student athletes. Now, here's my thoughts on this, because I've been covering sports for over 2 decades as a professional and been watching sports. So as we take a look at this and we see what's going on here, Dan Hurley, to me, if you're a coach at UConn after winning 2 championships, back-to-back, putting UConn back on the map in men's basketball, Gino Auriemma keeps them on the map in women's basketball. You're now in this, and they returned to the Big East, remember, a couple of years ago. So in their return from the American Athletic to the Big East, they go back to the Big East, and you got that Big East name, you got that history with the Big East and with UConn, the championships, the Jim Calhouns and the Kevin Ali and so on and so forth. And now Dan Hurley has carved out his own space in this. He's put this team back on the map. He's made them the bad boys out there again, right? They got a little cockiness, got a little flair to them, and now UConn is in a place in men's basketball where it's starting to feel like they did when I was a kid, when it's like, can anybody beat this team? They're the favorite going into the NCAA tournament, and the NCAA tournament, especially in recent history, has shown us that 16 seeds can beat 1 seeds. We have seen inside of the NCAA tournament that whoever the favorite is doesn't necessarily win. Well, in the case of UConn, they did. And I think going into this season, you're thinking, okay, can they do a three-peat? So if I'm Dan Hurley, and I'm probably getting paid well at UConn, Connecticut is not a cheap state. So, and what I mean by that is it has been one of the most expensive places to live, the state of Connecticut. So we look at Hurley, and we look at Stores, right? We look at where they are in Connecticut, and the history of this program, and the eliteness of this program, and this new chapter in domination for UConn. And I think to myself, if I'm Dan Hurley, is it all about the money? Because if it's all about the money, then, you probably go to the Lakers. But here's the issue that I see with this, that if I'm Dan Hurley, I need to think about. I just won back-to-back championships at UConn. I'm probably never going to get fired from UConn. I'm going to continue to recruit. I'm going to continue to put good product together. Now, people want me to keep winning championships, and I understand that, and maybe I don't win a championship every year, but if I compete in the Big East, if I make it to the end of the Big East tournament or win the Big East tournament, and I continue to advance to the NCAA tournament, and I continue to even advance far in the NCAA tournament to at least the Sweet 16, I'm looking at, I probably got, the next 20 years I'm sitting here as the UConn head coach. If I go to the Lakers, and LeBron James is still on the Lakers, correct, folks? He's still there? Well, isn't he the coach? Isn't LeBron James the head coach? Isn't whoever comes in at the mercy of whatever Bron wants to do? So if I'm Dan Hurley, yeah, it would be cool to coach in the NBA. But the other thing that you look at here is overall in the NBA, if you don't cut it, if you don't win a championship, if you don't go to the playoffs, if you don't have a good enough record, and number one, you're going to be in LA. Now, LA wants to win. Jack Nicholson and all those fans out there, they want to win in LA. And when you're and everybody wants to win, but LA, it's a show. LA, it's different. LA, there's expectation always, no matter where the team is at. There's that hope because of their history. So if you go to the Los Angeles Lakers, they're going to be thinking, okay, this guy just won 2 championships in college. He's going to come here. He's going to change this team in 5 seconds. And we're going to need to win right away because people have crazy expectations that make absolutely no sense. If he goes to the Lakers and they don't vie for a championship in their first 2 or 3 years, he could get fired. He's at UConn. He's probably, like I said, not going to get fired. Not going to leave anytime soon. They'll find a way every couple of years to give him a little more money, some endorsements that he can go out and get himself to pad his salary. And I'm sure car companies want him to be in their commercials. I'm sure, a law office wants you in their commercial. I'm sure the local restaurant wants a Dan Hurley commercial. So I'm sure that he can find his way to make more money like Jim Boeheim did. When you look at the Dan Hurley conundrum, the NBA, there is a lure of that, right? There is that I can be coaching at the highest level. But I see Dan Hurley coaching for a few seasons and them talking about firing him versus Dan Hurley being a guy who's going to have a statue in stores and they're going to be honoring this guy, and every single season they're going to be like, hey, that's our fearless leader, right? So that's how I kind of see things going. When Gino Auriemma struggles and he's not winning a championship, who wants to fire Gino Auriemma at UConn? Who wants to go, hey, you know what? You've won 1 billion championships, but you haven't won one in the last couple of years, so I think you're trash. I don't think a lot of people are thinking that way. So if I'm Hurley and the money looks good in LA, what looks better to me is the longevity and fact that I'm probably going to have good job security at UConn as opposed to being with the Lakers. And then you add on top of all of that the fact that I have to deal with LeBron James every day. LeBron James, the man who thinks that he is the judge, jury, and executioner of the Los Angeles Lakers? Absolutely not. If I'm Hurley, I'm going to listen to this. I'm going to meet with LA. I'm going to get this information. And I'm going to go back to UConn and say, how much more money can you give me? What else can you do for me? What can you do for me and my family? And can you buy me a new vehicle? Can you help me maybe get a new house? I'm going to use this and jockey it up against whatever UConn's giving me, and I'm going to say, okay, here, this is what I got. I'm going to go to the negotiation table, and I'm going to use the Lakers to get more out of UConn. But if I'm Dan Hurley, I'm not leaving UConn, especially to go to LA, especially to be dealing with the fact that I'm going to have to put up with LeBron and all those antics, and the fact that Dan Hurley very well could be fired. And I'm not saying he's not a good coach, and I'm not saying he's not qualified. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying the expectation of LA and the NBA and everything going on, I just don't. And where's LeBron going to be 3 years from now? I don't feel good about job security for Dan Hurley with the Lakers, but with the UConn Huskies, I don't think he has to worry about that at all. And I think the guy probably makes more than enough money right now. So if I'm Hurley, I use the Lakers to get more from UConn, but I do not go to the Lakers.
Good.
Your thoughts,
That's
PJ?
good. Oh, yeah. Hurley belongs where he stayed. Hurley belongs to be in a college game. He's the Hurley family from, 30 years ago when his father was coaching these kids in high school in New Jersey, and both of his sons were great players and All-Americans, really. And Bobby Hurley was a little funky guard that scored a lot of points. Didn't play in the pros too well, but they have a basketball legend. I mean, they learned from their father, and they learned the right way. I think what you said about the Lakers is especially true, especially with LeBron James. Any team, their egos are so damn high, you can't talk to them anymore. So you bring in an older guy who's been in the league 3 or 4 times, been fired a couple places. He can handle the situation better than Hurley can. I don't think Hurley would be extremely upset most of the time because his team wasn't doing what they wanted to do. And I think he deserves to stay right where he's at. If he wants more money, they'll give it to him.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think you use the Lakers to see what you can get from UConn and to further let UConn know that, they got to take care of you and take care of your family. But I mean, that's all that I would use it for. I mean, I think you can copy and paste this statement. If he becomes the Lakers head coach, talk to me in 3 years. Tell me where he's at. Where's LeBron at? What's happened with the team? Where are the antics at? Have they won a championship? Probably not. And are they thinking about firing the guy and moving on from him and saying that, who's writing the articles if this isn't working? So Dan Hurley, stay at UConn, which is going to piss off a lot of people in college basketball. But you're at the top of the mountain right now, and I know that might make you want to say, okay, I'm done with this mountain. But just because you're at the top of the mountain doesn't mean you can't climb another one. It's hard to be a back-to-back champion. It's hard to be a back-to-back-to-back champion. And if you build the environment that you're building right now, when people think of UConn, they think of Gino Auriemma and Jim Calhoun. If you continue to do what you're doing, you're going to be in the Mount Rushmore at UConn. And does that matter enough to you? The fact that you brought a team that was public enemy number 1, that was like everybody was gunning for them years ago. Now the fact that that's back again, that uncomfortable feeling that the UConn Huskies are back on the prowl, that is an awesome, awesome thing to coach. And if I'm Dan Hurley, I'm not going anywhere. But I am going to use this to my advantage. That's how I look at it. And speaking of, when it comes to using things to your advantage and trying to figure out how you can kind of use that money back and forth and betting on yourself, how about the Belmont Stakes happening at Saratoga? Speaking of betting, here's some horse racing going on, and PJ's all about it. Bring me into the Belmont Stakes, Papa Joe, and what we can expect from Saratoga over the weekend.
This is a highlight of my whole year, is Saratoga. They're opening up earlier this year because the Belmont racetrack is being refurbished at the tune of $440 million. They're going to be out for a couple of years. They're not going to be back racing again at that site till 2026. So we're going to see Saratoga at Belmont at Saratoga for a couple more years. Starting earlier, it's great for me. I love it. The track can handle it. The track is old, of course. It needs a lot of help. But the courses are in beautiful shape. They have 2 turf courses and 1 main track. And their main track is not as large as the Belmont track. The reason they went to the Belmont is because they have a 1.5 mile racetrack. Well, Saratoga is not that big. So instead of running 1.5 miles at a curve sort of like, they're going to run it 1.25 miles starting right in front of the grandstands. That's fun. That'll be fine.
Yeah,
The field is made up of 10 horses. Seize the Glory, Resilience, Mystic Dan, who's your horse.
Yeah.
The Wine Steward, Antiquarian, Dornach, Protective, Anna Marie, Sierra Leone, and Mindframe. Now, my particular favorite in this race is Sierra Leone. It's a Chad Brown horse. Your favorite at 9-5. Mindframe is coming in at 2-1. Don't like that, and I'll explain it why. And Mystic Dan is at 5-1. I don't like that either, and I'll tell you why. Mindframe comes in off of 2 victories as a 3-year-old, and one's a maiden race and one's an allowance race. But Todd Fletcher, who is a Hall of Fame trainer, thinks so highly of this horse that he's putting him in the Belmont to see what he can do. And he's starting out number 10. Right next to him is Sierra Leone. So that's going to be a little battle right there. As Mystic Dan is 5-1. Now, I don't know, some of these handicappers, they don't use all their sense. Frankly, I think I'm a good handicapper. And I can look at races and come up with a favorite. Mystic Dan is 5-1. I would put $100 on 5-1 right now. Mystic Dan won the Kentucky Derby. He deserves respects. He raced a mile and a quarter. Beat Sierra Leone by a nose. Okay, but still, he's got to be more respected than 5-1. This horse should be 2.5, 3-1. But you know what? The gamblers are going to tell us what it's going to be. The more money that goes in the pool, the more it's calculated before the race starts. That's going to give us the odds. Seize the Glory, who's no slouch himself, the Preakness at 8-1. Yeah. Now, some of these horses don't belong in this race, but there's 5 or 6 horses that are really, really serious. You know, the day itself is just not made up of Belmont Stakes at Saratoga or just Belmont Stakes.
Yeah.
This day they're giving away almost $8 million in purses. It starts with the True North Stakes for $350 million. They got the Power Stakes, which is a Grade 3 at $350,000. I beg your pardon. The Power Stakes is a Grade 3. The Suburban's a Grade 2, $350,000. The Ogden Phipps is $500,000. The Woody Stevens is a Grade 1, $500,000. The Hyper Stakes is a Grade 1, $500,000. The Metropolitan Mile is a Grade 1, it's $1 million. The World Resorts is a Grade 1, it's $1 million. And the Belmont Stakes itself is going off for $2 million. Now, when I say Grade 1, 2, and 3, these races are built up over the years about how they're run, where they're run, and what horses like to run them, what horses win. They're given grades, 3, 2, 1. Very rarely does a horse to a race ever get to a Grade 1. They're the hardest ones to win because they have the toughest fields. Now, the Metropolitan is made up of 8 horses, and 7 of those horses can win the race hands down. So it's a great handicapping race. It's going to be a great day for Saturday, Daniel. It's a lot of money. I'm going to be sitting right by my computer here in the TV in front of me. I'm going to be watching the whole thing.
Yeah, you know.
Starting today. I got to go and start today. Mary's shaking her head at me.
Well, and the thing is, I mean, what is it about Saratoga, the lore of Saratoga Racecourse that you love so much? Because you talk to me about Saratoga all the time. Why is Saratoga such a jewel, in your opinion, when it comes to horse racing?
Well, it was built years ago. I mean, it's not in bad shape for its age, but unfortunately, it's made a lot of wood. And, you know, God forbid if something happens, there's a fire, it'll go up in a heartbeat because it's made of wood. But the area itself, if you've ever been to Saratoga, it's wonderful. There's so many things to do, so many things to see. The town of Saratoga, the places to eat, the museums are there, and the Saratoga racecourse itself. When you walk into it, you walk through the gates, you start walking up to the front, and you look at it, it absolutely takes your breath away. It's green with bushes and trees, and the turf courses are shining green. The main course is dirt, and they got tote boards everywhere, announce everywhere. They got people running everywhere. 10 different restaurants, you know, and Saratoga is just something special. And every single trainer, and I mean that, every single trainer in this country, if they have horses that can win for these 3 months, they're going to go to Saratoga. Because if you can win in Saratoga, you can win just about any place. The competition is brutal. The trainers try to beat each other. The jockeys are the best in the world. We have very, very few foreign jockeys come over. Sometimes Mr. Appleby from England brings over his jockey. but they'll be the best jockey county, the best trainer colony in the year, this year. And it's all because of Saratoga.
Yeah. So excitement here with Saratoga Racecourse and the Belmont Stakes. Mystic Dan, as PJ said, my horse that I am paying very close attention to. So very excited to see what's going to happen here for the Belmont Stakes. We know that there's a lot of things going up here, and the 2024 Belmont Stakes will be run on Saturday, June 8th at Saratoga Racecourse. The 4-day Belmont Stakes Racing Festival will include 24 stakes races, like PJ was talking about, with purses totaling over $10 million. It starts today, Thursday, June 6th, then Friday, then Saturday, then Sunday. We got a bunch of things going on here with the Belmont Stakes, a full schedule. And then on Saturday, we're going to see the Belmont Stakes happening here. The purse, $2 million. So excited to see what's going to happen, and excited to see how we go here. And Seas, obviously Seas the Gray has had some success recently, and we've seen Mystic Dan with success recently as well. And then we look at Resilience, as well as the Wine Steward, Antiquarian, Dornock, as well as Protective, Honor Marie. Oh, that's tough because my grandma's name is Marie. So Honor Marie, Sierra Leone, and Mindframe. And so we'll get to see what happens as we step forward here at the Belmont Stakes. And of course, PJ and I will be talking about it next week, coming off of whatever goes down. Joey said Papa J had tickets to go. We had to cancel, but maybe next year. So excitement here on what's coming up. PJ, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the last thing we have to discuss this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora from inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. What do you want to say about the Jaguars? What are you hearing down in North Florida? Your ear is to the ground as always. So tell me, what is going on in North Florida with them Jaguars?
Well, there is some talk, a lot of talk, actually. I know that I just found this little tidbit out. The Jags are ranked 5th in a 24 salary cap. I don't guess that's too bad or too good. But a lot of talk down here is Trevor Lawrence's contract.
Yeah.
And the numbers I'm hearing down here is $200 million over 5 years. And that'll probably put him right at where he belongs, maybe a notch below some of the ones that we've already seen signed. Of course, Mahomes is up there, and Josh Allen and Jared Goff, Bobby Hebert. So I'm looking at $200 million for 5 years, and I think if that was offered to the kid, I think he'd take it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I mean, you said looking at 5 years, $200 million, which would put him at $40 million a year on average. I would have him $10 million below the contracts that we've been seeing. And, I mean, it all depends. It depends on what he thinks of himself. And they could incentivize him and say that he can make more money over the span of this contract if they make the playoffs and if they do some other things. But, I think we got to be fair. I think you got to be fair. And Deshaun Watson's totally guaranteed, I think, $230 million contract. That was ridiculous. It was in the midst of him being in trouble. It was in the midst of him being suspended. And a totally guaranteed contract, which has never happened, to give that to a quarterback who's not even playing is insane, and it changed the market. And then you look at Pat Mahomes, and Pat Mahomes making on average $50 million a year. That's fantastic. He's won 3 Super Bowls. But who's making more money than him? Jared Goff, never won a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow, never won a Super Bowl. So, Trevor Lawrence can turn around and say, Joe Burrow and I went up against each other in the college football playoff, and he beat me. And he's making $55 million a year, so give me 52. And, I didn't win a Super Bowl. He hasn't won a Super Bowl. Jared Goff, I'm younger than he is. I got more time that I'm going to be playing, so I want more money than he's got. Look at what I've done. We were the worst team. We went from the worst team in the NFL to a playoff team. So, there's a lot of things that Trevor can use to his advantage. It depends on how he looks at this team. It depends on if Trevor approaches this in a way that parallels a Tom Brady and says, I'll take 5 years, $200 million, instead of taking $50 million a year, I'll take $40 million a year. I'll structure it where I'm not taking as much money in the beginning so we can build this. I want you to go out and get all the pieces that we need to win. Because Tom Brady took less money and they went out and spent it on other pieces and they won a championship. Then you got other guys that take all kinds of money like Aaron Rodgers and the team doesn't do much of anything. So I think it's how Trevor looks at this. Now, if you want me to tell you my opinion of the guy that I have seen and the guy that I've been around and the guy that I've interacted with off the field and then in an interview setting, I think that he's more of a leader. I think he's more of, don't give me all the money. Let's share the wealth here because I'm going to be all right if I do my job. I think that he's about taking care of himself. I think he's a cerebral guy and a professional guy. And at the same time, I don't think that he's going to cripple a franchise like another quarterback might try to do. So I can see Trevor taking a little bit less so that the team has the best opportunity over the span of his contract to win, to get to a championship game, if not win a championship game. That's how I see Trevor. I don't see Trevor as a break the bank. I see Trevor as a respect me, but I'm not going to kill this thing. I want to make sure that we win together. So, maybe it's going to be a contract that some people think should be more, but I think Trevor's the type of guy that understands things, and I think he's the type of guy that wants to win, and he wants to show what he can do. And in order to do that, he can't be taking some crazy astronomical money. I trust that Jacksonville can work this out, and I trust that they can work it out for a more fiscally responsible number than maybe some of the numbers we've seen, and not because there's a disrespect for Trevor, but I think that Trevor is a different type of leader, in my opinion. And I think that $40 million is enough to live on for the rest of your life, let alone a year. I think that would be fair. I don't know what you think, PJ, but I see Trevor as more of the guy of saying, instead of me taking all the money, why don't I take some and then you spend the rest where you need to spend it?
Oh, I mean, they got to make it a very good team this year. Also, the camp down here, there are two players that are standing out, and Trevor Lawrence loves them, and that's Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas. They are just running their routes, catching everything. Brian Thomas, I'm telling you, both of these guys are going to start, Daniel, in my opinion. Both of them. To make up for Zay Jones and Calvin Ridley. Brian Thomas is a bigger, faster, stronger player than those two guys you just left.
Yeah.
Not only is the guy big, he can catch anything. His arms are huge. I mean, he's a super, super player. I don't know how he lasted to us on 24. I'm glad he's there. But he's going to be a security blanket for Trevor going forward, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, we'll see how this goes here. We'll see how this team ends up figuring this thing out. But this is a contract negotiation that I feel like I said, should have been going on for the last couple of years. They should have been working on this with Trevor as he steps into year 4. There should have been a couple of years of already talking about, okay, what are we going to do with this guy? Remember, he is a number 1 overall pick, so that holds some weight to it. He led the team out of the basement of the NFL to the playoffs, which has some weight to it. And they were on the cusp of going to the playoffs again, but he went through injury and the offensive line went through injury. So you can't really fault him for that because he played through a lot of it when he probably should have been sitting. So that holds some weight to it. I want Trevor to be the quarterback for, 16 years, for however long he's going to be in the NFL. And in order to make that happen, they got to work out a deal that makes sense for the franchise. I would like to see a 6-year deal with, an option for year number 6. But whatever they can do, 5 or 6 years that gives him enough money to make him feel appreciated, to help him to feel that, he is the guy that they're going to lean on, but at the same time to not spend so much that they can't go out and do the things that they need to do. It's what I'm hoping that they figure out. The other question is, PJ, Travis Etienne Jr., his contract's up at the same time that Trevor's is. They picked up the 5th-year option on both of them. Keep in mind, Travis didn't play his first year because he tore his ACL. So he is a good safety blanket for Trevor. He played with him at Clemson. He's a great running back situation for Jacksonville. The first really true positive running back situation since Leonard Fournette was their running back. He can catch out of the backfield, and we know that he is a guy that can really make a lot of plays and be dynamic. So, but at the same time, we also know that the NFL as a whole, the owners don't seem to want to pay running backs. They would rather let them go and pick up a different guy. So the world of ETN making $10 or more million a year doesn't really seem like it's going to be the case when the Derrick Henrys and the Delvin Cooks and so on and so forth of the world are kind of pushed to the side. So how do we assess this situation with ETN? Do you think Jacksonville keeps him? And how do they go about this? Because he's probably going to want a good amount of money, but running backs aren't getting paid that high of contracts anymore in the NFL.
Well, I think he deserves what he can get. The one problem I have with him and Pedersen is that they use him too much. I know they probably try to get their running back, the best running back, maybe 75% of the plays all the time, but he just can't. I don't think he can sustain that. I would like to see him maybe not play as many plays, maybe bring in Tank every once in a while to do something different, or maybe find a running back in the draft or that can help. You don't want to overuse a guy like him because they're brittle with this. Look at Christian McCaffrey just got another 2-year extension for another $15 million. McCaffrey, I thought he was all out last year. I thought he was on his last legs. I mean, he was playing well, but man, he's tired. And now, I saw the new pictures of him this year. Looks like his arms are bigger, his legs are bigger. Looks like he put on more weight, and he's the standard bearer right there.
Yeah.
If Travis were to say something, hey, I'm just as good as he is. Let me have the money.
Yeah, I mean, Travis Etienne, he's done a good amount of work in a short amount of time. Just to give people numbers on him here really quick, if you take a look at Etienne statistically and not playing in that first season after being the 25th overall pick in the 2021 draft that saw Trevor Lawrence go number 1 overall, his teammate from Clemson. If we look over a couple seasons of him playing, he's 1,000-yard back both seasons. And this is running the ball. This is not 1,000 cumulative. This is just running the ball. He hits 1,000 yards. In 2022, his rookie season, since he didn't play in 2021, he played in every game, 220 carries, 1,125 yards, 5.1 yards a carry, 5 rushing touchdowns. Last season, every game, 267 carries, 1,008 yards, 3.8 yards a carry, which went down, but he had 11 rushing touchdowns. Then you add in his receiving. In 2022, 35 catches, 316 yards, no touchdowns. And last season, 58 catches, 476 yards, and a touchdown. So he's involved himself in the offense in many different ways. And like I said, he is that security blanket. Would I like to see him block better? Yeah, and maybe that's Tank Bigsby's thing, but you can't always have them both in the game. So, there are some things that Travis can do. Blocking can be some more help that he can bring to the table, but he's not built the same way that Tank Bigsby is built. And Tank is more that guy that looks like, he's going to go out there and be a little human wrecking ball. I shouldn't say a little one, probably a big human wrecking ball. So we'll see where they go with this, but ETN catching the ball out of the backfield, doing different things, being elusive, getting himself to break free, doing good things throughout the season, no matter who's on the offensive line, And being a 1,000-yard back in his first 2 seasons playing in the NFL, I mean, what more can you ask from a guy? So I think he definitely has what he needs to negotiate, but Derrick Henry had what he needed to negotiate, and Derrick Henry was let go by Tennessee. So we'll see what they do with that, but hopefully they'll lock up Lawrence first, and then they'll lock up ETN from there. And any final note, PJ, you want to make about the Jaguars before we finish up for this week?
No, that's good. I'll have more information next week about what's going on with ETN and more on the team. I hope I can get it at least.
So that coming from Papa Joe here, speaking about a lot of different subjects, Dan Hurley, as well as Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence of the Jaguars, and our On the Prowl coverage all year round with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and of course the Belmont Stakes that's happening starting today, running all the way through Sunday, and the Belmont Stakes main event happening this Saturday, June 8th, and also talking about Major League Baseball. PJ, as always, it is my pleasure. Go enjoy the weather. Give my best to MT, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Hey, Daniel. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Coming from Papa Joe right here one more time on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back right after this from the Heritage Hill Studios to wrap up today's broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the taste of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. You will find them right there for you 7 days a week, right off of Teal Ave, Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. GG Cards and Breaks offering you hockey, baseball, basketball, football, soccer, all sport, AEW, UFC, and more, including Disney Lorcana, which they have a bunch of different series of Disney Lorcana currently available, and Pokemon while supplies last. Head out to GG Cards and Breaks today, folks. collecting cards is it's just a unique thing. It's a fun thing. It's exciting. Once you start, it's hard to stop. And it's because, you know, I mean, when it comes to Disney, you can collect your favorite characters. You know, I love the Disney Lorcana finally brought out Pluto, and then I got a bunch of Plutos. I think I have like the 3 of them that were out in that series. And, you know, to be able to bring those home and have those and play the Disney Lorcana game with those Plutos is something I really look forward to doing. And then, you know, you look at collecting your favorite team, you know, collecting your favorite players, and looking at a guy that gets drafted by the Jaguars and Brian Thomas Jr., and they got a Brian Thomas, a graded card, PSA 9 out of 10 there, a Bowman first, and I can go and pick up that Brian Thomas and keep that in my collection. There's just something to be said about it, and there's always, and I love finding things, right? Going on the hunt. I think as human beings, we like that, right? We like the search for something unique, something that we're getting for someone else, something that we're looking for ourselves, but the hunt to find that thing that we want to bring home or that we want to give to somebody else. And I think that that's so cool to go on the hunt at GG Cards and Breaks all the time, because they're always bringing in new product. They have singles, they have packs, they have boxes, they have graded cards, and you never know what's going to be in the new box, right? And they have the new box for football, they have basketball, they have baseball, then they have the graded cards there that you can look through and see what football came in, what basketball came in, what baseball came in. Sometimes there's Marvel cards that you can find in there as well. There's Pokemon cards that are graded. So you never know what you're going to find at GG Cards and Breaks. And you might be looking for something today, and it might show up there tomorrow. They're open 7 days a week. They give you an opportunity to go in there and find some amazing things. And I went there and did a box break yesterday, and you can go and watch that on our Facebook channel. We're going to be adding it to YouTube as well as Instagram, and we're going to put it on X. But you can watch it on Facebook right now, which is facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and you can check out that video of my most recent box break, which happened on-site on location at GG Cards and Breaks on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse with the 2023 Optic Football. And they've already had 3 downtowns that have been found by opening those boxes at GG Cards and Breaks. There was an Aaron Rodgers downtown, as well as Marshall Faulk and an Eli Manning downtown. So 3 downtowns in the boxes that they've had there. It's tough to find one. So they obviously got a good shipment in, and there's just a few left. So if you want to see what you can get, head off to GG Cards and Breaks today. And of course, above everything, their service and their attention to detail is something that I appreciate and respect so very much. These gentlemen work very, very hard, and they put in so many hours, and I cannot thank them enough. I love going in there. I love getting to spend time with them, and I love going there with my mom, because my mom used to take me as a kid, and as a big kid now, my mom showed up there yesterday when I told her I was over there, and she goes, "All right, what pack do you want? I'm going to buy you a pack of cards," because my mom's awesome. She bought me a pack, and I got to open it there with the guys. So always appreciate those memories. Go make a memory today at GG Cards and Breaks, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank you for being with us inside of the Heritage Hill studios, not just today, but every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com and Facebook.com. Both /WakeUpCallDT and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. And of course, you can also find us on our archives: Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So make sure you come and check us out there and click follow and subscribe on your favorite platforms. A big time thanks to our incredible partners in Central and Upstate New York. Many thanks to Heritage Hill Brewhouse, as well as Heritage Hill North, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Avicoli's Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Pizza Man, Great Lakes, Honda City, and where I had lunch yesterday, and I love to go all the time, Mother's Cupboard, the home of my sandwich. My breakfast sandwich is nowhere else but right there at Mother's Cupboard, the Cuse McMother, and you can get the Cuse McMother today and any day of the week, 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. daily on 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York. Head to Mother's Cupboard and get the Cuse McMother, which is bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Cut it up and eat it with syrup, or pick it up and have it like a sandwich. So make sure you get out there and do that, and definitely enjoy all that is over there at Mother's Cupboard. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. You will find your Dolphins on Wednesdays during Dolphin Time, and that Dolphin Time comes to you Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. You can find them with AD and DT, featuring our specials with the athletic department, leadership, as well as the Dolphin Dive, diving into stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. All of that content is on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, find the Lemoyne playlist. You'll also find your Dolphins by swimming over to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage, as well as underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LemoyneDolphins.com. And as always, fins up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You can find your Bobcats by going to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and you'll find all of our specials, which we entitle the Bobcat Buzz, with the Bobcats coming to you every single month, featuring men's and women's basketball, men's and women's soccer, as well as baseball and esports. All throughout the year, we have the opportunity to speak with student athletes, coaches, and administration, including the director for Syracuse campuses, Mary Hawkins, who is there with their 2 campuses on James Street in Syracuse, as well as on Route 57 in Liverpool, right across the street from Avicoli's. The Bobcat Buzz, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our BSC Syracuse playlist. For more on the Bobcats, you can also find them on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. You can also go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And as always, go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You will find your Bearcats every Tuesday during Bearcat Time at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, exclusively right here on Wake Up Call. Our specials every single month are Moments with Marshall, featuring Gene Marshall, the athletics director of Binghamton University, and a behind-the-scenes look at the Bearcats, as well as the Bearcat Break Room, where we speak with student athletes, coaches, and administration. We have under-promised and over-delivered, with only having the Bearcats with us for a couple months now. Plenty of specials for you to go and check out. Go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, click subscribe, hit the notification bell, find the Binghamton playlist, and you can also find the Bearcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to bubearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin', you know Ma and Pa's is the snack capital of the world. You can go to Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com to order from anywhere in the world. And of course, you can go to 201 7th North Street in Liverpool and have the benefit of walking right into Ma and Pa's and get some awesome stuff. Make sure you go and get a tin. My tin is right over my shoulder. You can see it right there, the Jacksonville Jaguars tin. You can go get any size tin at Ma and Pa's, and once you buy that tin, you have half-price refills for the rest of your life, which is awesome. Brian Bruno, big-time thanks to CBA Syracuse and to Coach Bruno for being a part of the show. CBA Syracuse Defensive Coordinator, and there for the 2021 and 23 New York State titles, one for Class A, the other for Class AA. Big-time thanks to Papa Joe, as always, joining me every Thursday for being the amazing father figure and wonderful person he is in my life. Talking today on Major League Baseball, the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga, Jacksonville Jaguars looking at the contracts of Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne Jr., and making a note here on Dan Hurley. Continue to vote in our polls on X at CallDT. Those polls are up right now. And thank you, Jerry, said good stuff. And I do want to let you know, I put up another poll. Who do you predict will be the new head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, Dan Hurley or J.J. Redick? Early polling, J.J. Redick 61.1%, Dan Hurley 38.9%. Where do you believe Dan Hurley is going to be in this upcoming season? 52.6% believe he's going to be the Lakers head coach. 47.4% think he will stay with UConn. And I said, if you had to pick, if the World Series happened today, between the Yankees and the Phillies, who would you pick to win? Early polling has picked the Yankees at 100% in the early poll. So that means Jerry Hart's going to have to get on social media and go over to X at CallDT. The NBA Finals starts tonight, folks. So make sure you take a look at those NBA Finals. That Game 1 is going to happen tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. The Dallas Mavericks will be at the Boston Celtics for Game 1. My prediction, I would love to see, Dallas do this, because Dallas is that team that I think a lot of people counted out. But if I had to put my feet to the fire right now as an impartial broadcaster, I'd have to sit here and tell you that I got the Boston Celtics winning this one. So we'll see what happens as we step forward here. And I'm excited to see what's going to go on. So a lot of great stuff coming up. And I do want to make a note that the Florida Panthers are taking on the Edmonton Oilers. Florida Panthers versus Edmonton Oilers here in the Stanley Cup Final. Game 1 is going to be this Saturday, June 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. Edmonton will travel to Florida for Game 1 and Game 2. Game 3 and Game 4 will be in Edmonton. And then we'll go from there and see what we need in this best-of-7 series. I'm ecstatic for the Florida Panthers. I remember getting one of their hats. I think my dad got it back in the day. And the Florida Panthers having the opportunity to play in the Stanley Cup finale. My heart wants to go with Florida. Edmonton, hard to go against them as well. And, it's hard to go against Canadian anything when it comes to hockey. But I will, and by the way, the Florida Panthers are based in Sunrise, Florida, which is just an incredible name to have there. Sunrise, Florida, which is not too far from Fort Lauderdale. It is west of Fort Lauderdale and north of Miami, Florida, in my second home of the great state of Florida. So with that being said, I'm going to go with the Florida Panthers, and I'm going to go with the Boston Celtics. We'll see what happens. As the NBA Final starts tonight, the Stanley Cup Final starts this Saturday. I hope you have a wonderful day. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at wakeupcall_DT. Thank you to Brian Bruno. Thank you to Papa Joe. Thank you to you. Thank you to Heritage Hill for being our exclusive studio partner. Have a wonderful day. God bless. No stress. Do your best. I'm going to share my link to buy our products from our merchandising site that you can do today for Wake Up Call, for Superpowered Pop, for Comic Book Trails, as well as Do Diz with Dan, and our overall company logo, the headset and the mic. You can go and support the show and support my company. I'm going to share that on social media today. You can also buy clothing that says, God bless, no stress, do your best, which is how I end every single show. So make sure you go out and support. Thanks to Joe Forgione for buying one of our sweatshirts. And thank you to my big brother Joey for going out and buying a t-shirt of God bless, no stress, do your best with our company logo on the front. Have a beautiful, wonderful day. Be safe, be good to yourselves and good to each other. And I got to say it one more time. God bless, no stress, do your best. We'll talk soon. Be safe and stay well.